From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Really short and sweet. Main things we're going to be talking about is Thursday night football, as well as some Thursday night NBA. Got a few things that we can touch on if we want to. A couple of college football games, one with the big spread. Some college basketball that is not too enticing. You still got some Power 5 teams against some lowly mid-major teams, so nothing too exciting in that realm. If you're a ECSI VIP, at least one college basketball games in your inbox tonight, if not two. I know there's 3 plays. I'm drawing a blank on the other 2. I know one of them hockey, one of them is college basketball, and I'm drawing a blank on the third one from Mr. Dawson. So go check your inbox for that. Those picks there. And, of course, if you didn't see and you are an ECSI faithful, go wish the man Jeff Dawson a very happy birthday. He was around, obviously, earlier today on some shows. But I am giving the man his rightful birthday afternoon and evening to enjoy with his family a little bit there. So, like I said, if you didn't go out and reach out to him for his 27th birthday, of course, as he has said to me yesterday and today, go do so now. The man deserves it, obviously. We thank him very much for all his hard work and effort that he puts in day in and day out here. So, beyond that, going back to yesterday real quick, we obviously talked a lot of NBA basketball yesterday. Had some good selections, had a couple that were a little aggravating misses there. My Bulls, for example, depending on if you were interested in that one, depending on what number you saw. If you got the best possible number, I think it was +1, which they did lose by 1, but obviously it was -1, 1.5 in the Bulls' favor at times, and they let that one slip by in overtime. Told you that Hornets-Wizards number was stinky. The Wizards win by 16 in that one. Celtics-Sixers, we kind of both leaned towards the Sixers being the Sixers number there, but that one was obviously a good game, close game at least. Told you to stay away from those Clippers games. They failed to cover from what I understand, unless there was a number that I didn't see there, but lose by 7 to the Nets. Their offense so far in the James Harden era in LA is not looking good in the first 2 games. Obviously, still a lot of time, obviously. Told you to pump the brakes on old Victor and the Spurs in Madison Square Garden. Knicks put the hurt on them by 21. I know they covered for sure, obviously, and I believe they stayed on their team total, which Jeff suggested on that one. Grizzlies was one of the losers. That one, they lose by 6. That one smelled a little bit, but that one obviously falls short. Bucks Pistons was kind of on track to be a Bucks situation there. If you had the Bucks, you're obviously annoyed because I believe they were up by 10.5, and then Giannis gets ejected early in the second half there on a questionable technical and toss for Giannis there, and that obviously let the Pistons kind of slide in the door and keep that one close. Bucks got the win, but only by 2 there, so a rough one there. What was the other one? Mavericks take the loss. We were on the right side with the Raptors on that one. That one was a little stinky. And then Nuggets Warriors was it was kind of a coin flip. Warriors had a chance, I know, at the end there. And then Kings Blazers, I believe we were kind of wishy-washy on that one, but this Kings team hasn't quite gotten off on a roll. Obviously, no De'Aaron Fox, but they take down the Blazers in overtime there. We'll move on to today in the NBA here in a second. We've got 2 games. One of those is in Mexico City tonight, Atlanta and Orlando. That one should be a fun one there. Both teams 4-3 right now. Obviously, both playoff contenders in the East. Should be a fun game there. And then before that, on NBA TV, Bucks and Pacers. But we'll get there in a second. We'll go over to tonight's NFL game. Well, we're going to be a rapid fire here, rocking and rolling here, and we'll get out of here in 20-25 minutes. Showtime here. But obviously, if you are a diehard NFL fan, you are still going to be popping up tonight's game, Carolina and Chicago, 1-7, 2-7. Obviously not exactly the best remote dropping Thursday Night Football game that we've had all season long by any stretch. But, again, there are some season implications on this one, if you're aware. Carolina and Chicago make the draft trade last season, so Carolina's draft pick is actually in the possession of Chicago. So kind of incentive both ways in this one. You got Carolina, who's still, despite 1-7, not in the tankathon per their own, preference, because they don't have their first-round pick. This is the team that has it. They want to beat this team, whereas the Bears obviously would love to have the Carolina pick be the number 1 pick, as opposed to their own pick being the worst record or in that category there. Carolina wins, and we've got a lot of teams vying for that spot. We do have a lot of teams, but if the Bears win and get to 3 wins, obviously kind of changes that landscape at least a little bit, makes it a little less hectic, and gives that Carolina pick still a chance at being one of the top, if not the top one there. So that is the one thing to watch there. Obviously, Carolina coming off of a 13-27 loss to Indy last week. Not a good Bryce Young game at home there. And the Bears, after a little resurgence, the win against Washington, tightly contested game with Tyson Bagent coming in relief, losing to the Vikings. Very good defensive game, and took care of business against the Raiders. And then these last 2, not so hot losses at the Chargers, 30-13, and losses at New Orleans last week, 24-17. So we move into tonight. I am seeing this number now at minus, most of the time here today was minus 3.5. I do see in 1-2 spots down to a flat 3. Chicago minus 120 in that spot on the spread there, with Carolina minus 100, 102, kind of in that range if you're seeing it at 3. A lot of these other spots, though, right around minus 110. Pick them as far as that is concerned for the spread on that one, 3.5. 38.5 on the game, full game total on this one here. Want to see mostly 38s. It looks like the 138.5. There's I see FanDuel. A lot of other spots, though. 38 is the flat number on that one. Now you look at this one, and I've got my thoughts. Obviously, I have watched a lot of both these teams' game. Believe it or not, as ugly as they may have been. First of all, I mean, a low game total 38 obviously sounds like a potential game that could go under. These primetime unders have obviously been a theme and is starting to catch on once again, as it typically does about this time of the year. And if you go back even to Monday night, kind of had that same thing, and it stays under at 33. Not a very good Jets performance. Now you're seeing 2 bad teams, and so a lot of people probably are going to be looking to that under. Not saying it can't happen. One situation, though, obviously, this Carolina defense has been playing a lot better lately. I know you see a 27 on the score box from last week against Indy. That's 2 pick sixes by Bryce Young that changed the landscape of that game. Otherwise, Carolina is very live to hang in that game and potentially win that game. They played really, really solid defense throughout that entirety of the game. Held Jonathan Taylor, I think, to 48, 46, something like that, yards, 2.6 yards per carry. Gardner Minshew, I think, under 5 yards per attempt. Per average there. So, and in the week before that, their actual win, 15-13 victory at home against a Houston Texans team that last week puts up 450 yards through the air or something along those effects. So, solid defensive performance these last weeks from Carolina. Bears kind of on the flip side of that, where they had that nice defensive resurgence for those 3 games, Washington, Minnesota, and Vegas, 20 or less in all 3 of those, and now a little regression. 30 at the Chargers allowed, 24 last week at New Orleans. not a terrible performance last week defensively, but obviously, offense not doing anything to help them out here in this one. Chicago's rush defense actually is one thing that I've been very, very low the last year and a half on this Bears defense. I still think they are exploitable by all stretches of the measure, but their rush defense has actually been really, really solid. Has I think yards per carry wise is at the top of the NFL actually right now. Part of that is teams are able to throw on them a little bit here. And for Carolina, a team that has not been very efficient rushing the ball, I would be surprised to see them try and do it a little bit here tonight. Maybe they can do it a little more successfully than some other teams. But I do expect, I think you're going to see, the Carolina Panthers trying to give some confidence to Bryce Young here against a pass defense that hasn't been as efficient. And you're going to see this Panthers team, whether it works or not. They tried to do it last week, and it obviously had a couple pick sixes. I think you're going to see Bryce Young and this Panthers offense air it out a little bit here. On the other side of that, I think you could see a Bears offense still with Tyson Bagent, it seems like, here tonight, rushing the ball quite a bit here in this one for my measure. No Khalil Herbert. It sounded like he might be active. You're still going to get Deontay Foreman and Roschon Johnson in this one. So I do think you're going to see a Bears rushing attack try and control this game through the ground at home here in this one. So my kind of quick thoughts on this one. I do think Carolina has a great chance of sticking in this one. Bears are this kind of I don't want to say massive public side, but public is leaning to the Bears on this one. As far as these team totals, 20.5 for Chicago, 17.5. I see some 16.5s, but it's juiced way over for Carolina. 17.5 at some plus money in a couple spots there for Carolina. And I think you're going to see, like I said, I think you could see a Carolina team throwing the ball a little bit more and having success. So I am kind of leaning towards Carolina hanging in this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if their defense regressed. You have Brian Burns out of this game, the center of their defense, a massive, massive part, and one of the more underrated players in the NFL. Obviously not on a good team, but very underrated player. Definitely hurts them there. But I do think offensively, to stay away from the spread a little bit, I think offensively they can put up some points here and get over that 17.5. It's not it's a little bit windy in Chicago, obviously Windy City, but kind of a cool, not terrible weather night here in Chicago. I think the wind dies. I could be eating my words, but I think the wind's going to die down a little bit. So not a bad night of football by any stretch weather-wise. So I think you're going to see Carolina put up some points. I'm leaning towards Carolina over 17.5. And then, like I was saying, leaning towards some Chicago rushing action. Deontay Foreman up at 62.5 is kind of a high number. I think if you really liked him, it's kind of a revenge game from him coming from Carolina previously as one of his previous teams. Exploit that a little bit. But you also have Roschon Johnson down at 20.5. Without Khalil Herbert, I think you're going to see both of those guys. And if they're able to run the ball effectively, I think, like I said, I think both these guys can run the ball, but Roschon Johnson down at 20.5. I think you could see, I don't know if I want to say a breakout game from Roschon Johnson necessarily. I know a lot of Bears fans love him. I've liked what I've seen from him. Again, not saying it's a breakout game, but as compared to that 20.5, I think you could kind of see in the realm of a 40-yard performance or so from Roschon Johnson. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So from the Bears side of things, that is where I'm going. Might even consider some touchdown props for that man, Roschon Johnson. Obviously, Deontay Foreman, a good goal line back. He's at plus money. You can get him as well. And then as far as Carolina is concerned, Adam Thielen, kind of an easy choice, plus 185 with the way they've been playing and the way he's been utilized up against, obviously played against the Bears a lot of times. I guess I don't know where I would go if I'm looking at Carolina. They kind of have a lot of options if what I'm saying is true. A lot of secondary options in their passing attack. Kind of a dark horse is, maybe a Tommy Tremble who at times has had some success. Probably wouldn't go too deep into any touchdown scores other than maybe either of those Chicago running backs. But, the main thing that I'm doing here tonight is interested in Carolina over 17.5 and maybe some Roschon Johnson rushing action for the Bears on this one. And I kind of lean towards the over in this one, maybe a 20-24 type of game. We actually get an interesting, fun game out of this. On paper, bad matchup. I'm not saying it's going to be a barn burner by any means, and there's probably going to be some bad football in this one, but I don't think it's going to be this stinker that everyone's kind of making it out to be here with this total here. So I'm going to go Probably going to be playing the team total that I said for the Panthers, rushing attack for Roschon Johnson, and leaning towards just the game total over. Probably not going to play that one, but at least leaning towards over on the total on this one when everyone's expecting primetime unders to continue for a game that's combined 3 full wins for both of these teams here. So that is what I am going with for tonight's NFL action here on Thursday Night Football. Switching over gears to the NBA. And then we'll probably get on out of here. Milwaukee and the Pacers. I want to double-check the injury report because this number on this Bucks game is obviously fairly interesting. You've got a Bucks team, obviously, the second night of a back-to-back. We just talked about their situation that they had last night. Giannis gets tossed in the early second half of that game. It's kind of a reason to think he might be well-rested on the second night of a back-to-back and probably, teed off. Bad choice of words, pissed off from that tee up yesterday. Playing at an Indiana team that's 5-3, these game totals for Indiana have been flying over. We talked about it yesterday. Kind of thought it might regress. It did not. They ended up with a game total of 252, if my math is correct there. 252. Yeah, 252 on a 243 actual over-under that one. Under on that one against the Jazz at home there. So they are also on the second night of a back-to-back, I should mention. 152 the night before that against San Antonio. So to see that a 2-point spread here, it does look like Damian Lillard is questionable. So that is one reason why this one might be in that range. If you see Damian Lillard out, then obviously a little less firepower for Milwaukee here. But at the end of the day, unless Giannis is out of this one, a 2-point spread with a Giannis-led team where you would assume he might be pissed off after what happened last night, if he is playing, does seem a little fishy. So at least buyer beware on that one. Probably going to be a game that is watched a decent amount if people aren't interested in that NFL game. I'll kind of lean towards kind of what we said yesterday of these totals for the Pacers having to the fact that it wasn't increased from last night and it's at 241.5 as opposed to going higher with the way these totals have been flying over in these Pacers games. I'll lean towards the under on this one. But obviously a 2-point spread for Milwaukee up against the Pacers team, who, again, can do a lot of good things, but obviously is not in the same stratosphere on paper as this Milwaukee team. Seems a bit fishy to me. So maybe stay away from that one, and I'll lean towards the game under on that one. Other one that I mentioned, Atlanta and Orlando. I mentioned this one is in Mexico City. So I to be honest, I don't know what the fan base situation is going to be like in this one. I could be misguided on the perception on that one as far as fans are concerned. Don't know if there's a fan base for these two teams there. I was kind of naive to the fact that this one actually is in Mexico. But Atlanta, I believe these two teams have had the benefit of not playing since Monday with the travel down to Mexico here. Atlanta 4-3. They did have a nice 4-game winning streak after a couple ugly ones. Lose at OKC on Monday. Orlando, couple nice games prior to their Monday game. Loss at home against Dallas, 102-117. So two teams that are kind of Jekyll and Hyde-ish, obviously. At their best, they are very fun to watch with these two offenses. And Orlando, the firepower that they are starting to, get respect on this young core of talent that they have. As far as injury news, couple guys are questionable. We'll obviously have to monitor that. Markelle Fultz questionable. But Jonathan Isaac probable, I think, here for the Orlando Magic that I'm seeing here. But as far as this game is concerned, I don't have a strong lean here. That number seems on a neutral court. I would say I want to say fair, but it also kind of gives respect to Atlanta more so than the Magic there, because I know the Magic have a kind of a public following here that is for a team that is really fun to watch. So I'm almost leaning towards Atlanta, but obviously this one is in Mexico City. I believe that actually the altitude in this game is going to be a potential factor that these teams might not be used to. So I will kind of lean towards Atlanta, but I guess I'll lean towards it, really coming down to the 3.5 there. 232 is the game total for these two teams here today. As far as the total teams go, these two teams, Atlanta, kind of been back and forth. I think 3-3-1 or something along those lines, depending on what the number you had on the push, obviously. Whereas Orlando has been kind of an under team, and their numbers have been a little bit lower than this. Kind of just meeting in the middle. This number is for these two teams here. So I will I won't give a lean on the total. I guess I'll lean towards the over there, but I think that would probably be the public play, so you might want to back off of that one. This one might just be a fun one, and with it being on a neutral floor, I might be staying away. But I guess I will lean towards the Hawks, but really not any type of lean like I had on a lot of the games yesterday. So I honestly like the under in Milwaukee and Indiana more than either of the spread total in either of these other two games here. So that is it for the NBA, my friends. There is a large NHL slate tonight, but as you know me, if you follow me in these shows at all, I cannot help you at all with those. So we're going to have to take your talents or get some talents elsewhere here. Go follow some nice people like Andrew McGinnis, who is fantastic in the world of hockey. Or if you're an ECSI VIP, I know there's at least one, if not two. Maybe I'm drawing a blank in the third play is a college football play. I apologize for not knowing that. I'll try and get that pulled up right here. But I know there's at least one NHL play there, which I am not at liberty to give away here. There's one play, and then one of the college football games is one of the plays on the other ones there. So a little bit of everything there for ECSI VIP. So go check your inbox there from the man, Mr. Dawson, earlier today. But aside from that, like I said, some college basketball, but nothing I'm too interested in trying to fit myself into. You do have the return of Michigan State, ironically enough, on my chest here. They are 31.5-point favorites after that loss to James Madison, playing, I think it's Southern Indiana. It's 31.5-point favorites. Not saying they're going to smash through that total in the first half there, or spread in the first half there, or in the full game there. It is obviously a situation where they might be up by 25 and regress a little bit there, or pull themselves off the gas a little bit in the second half there. So expect them to look a lot better and have a lot more sense of urgency in this one. Michigan State should, after that embarrassing loss on night one there. So don't panic just yet on the Spartans there. But they are one team in action on Big Ten Network. A lot of other mid-major action elsewhere on the slate tonight. So another good night to just sit back and watch a little bit here and see if you can learn anything about these teams here tonight. So that is about all I have for you tonight. Like I said, 20-25 minutes, and we are in and out. We talked about the NFL game tonight and 2 NBA games for the most part today, as well as a little recapping yesterday. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back talking all things Big Ten football for this weekend with Jeff Dawson at 9:30 my time, 10:30 East Coast time, as well as potentially some Big Ten basketball, maybe previews and for the weekend. Could be a big show as far as college football and college basketball, Big Ten world. So very excited for that as always. So go check us out tomorrow morning. And then, as per usual, I don't have the lineup in front of me, but always a lot of good shows on Friday on the ECSI Network. So stay tuned all day long. We've got you covered on all things Friday football, as well as, Friday slate of everything going on. Great college basketball slate. I assume there's a good NBA slate tomorrow. And they will get you caught up on everything Saturday and Sunday football was what I was trying to say there. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get out of here. Good luck on anything that you have going on tonight in the sports world, my friends. I hope it is a successful evening for you if you've got anything going on. But aside from that, I will catch you all tomorrow. Thank you all for stopping by. Hope you have a great night.